Hey guys, you guys sent awesome questions to me for my AMA on Twitter. I'm currently here in I Am Rio, enjoying Brazil, and time to answer some of your questions. This is gonna be part one. I'm gonna do part two right after this. So yeah, here goes. The first question. In your opinion, when you are lifting a major trophy, how much of that works in game-related strats, aim, game plan? How much of that is mental related? Keeping calm, no frustration, being productive, doing practice. This is an excellent question. When I have to think back at Antwerpen, I think most of it is kind of like a blur. But I know that we didn't, for example, have a coach at that tournament. I had a lot of responsibilities. When I believe we win a big tournament, it often, everything becomes to a higher intensity as a team. That is individual level, practice before tournament, maybe even sometimes the way we prepare. But there's always one thing, every time I had a very good boot camp before a tournament, we always lost. So that's a thing I always want to avoid, is very good boot camp before a tournament. When you're in the flow state in a tournament, for example, the Antwerpen Major, I didn't believe you could lose. Some of the rounds, I didn't care if you lost an anti-go. So I think much of it comes really down to frustration and the belief in the team and believe the work you put in as a team, as an individual. So just everything just connects, and I know this team so good now, for example, that when we are doing a playoff, I see how good we're playing. I know that we are gonna win this tournament. There's no other solution to the way we're playing. So in my opinion, everything just connects, and I don't think it's always come with practice right before tournament, but leading up to the tournament. Sometimes even playing worse than practice is gonna make you play even better at the tournament, because you are putting in that extra effort, extra work, making sure you have good result of the tournament. So yeah, brilliant question. When you guys had that comp against Liquid, you had to micromanage everyone. Is this the type of calling that you lean into long term, as we've seen it can be very successful? If not, how do you improve the team, avoid falling back onto micromanage these type of games? So what people have to think about when I'm doing micromanaging, most of all, it's not always on the CT side. I have this strange ideal position on CT sides. First of all, I'm an anchor. On a Mirage, specifically against Mirage, I was pretty quiet unless I had a good read where I wanted to hide on A, or I'm calling I need some backup on B this round. So mostly on the T side, which was really bad against Liquid, I tried to micromanage. I would say one of the things with micromanage is basically that I put myself in everyone's shoes and imagine how the rounds look, and I have to micromanage every single step of the game. It's not a way I want to call, it's a way I always lean into when we have a stand-in. Because losing a player before a tournament, when you have a stand-in, you lose 20% of your structure, depending on which player you're replacing. So micromanaging makes a lot of sense there to help the player understand what he needs to do in the role. But I have so many great players that I don't think micromanage is the way to go for the team. It was basically a decision I wanted to take with the team, that we need to change something. I always believe a balance between set rounds and the freedom the players have. So to answer the question, I don't think long-term it's a solution. Long-term, I will be burned out. You have to imagine when I micromanage at a tournament, I have to micromanage every day in practice. And that's literally not how I want to play. I'd have a very bad individual level, and that would also tear down the team long-term. So it's something I go to last resource, last chance situation, basically. Bucket list vacation destination. Best meal you had in foreign country. I'm this lucky guy that I have gone to many places I wanted to, Costa Rica, Maldives, and some tournaments. We have been in New York and all this kind of stuff you have. But I think there's always one thing where I really want to go is probably a safari in Africa. Try to see how everything looks there. Obviously, if you follow my Instagram, a lot of animals on my stories when I'm on vacation. So I think that's one of the bucket list destinations I really want to go. And also, I haven't been skiing for a long time. I also wish I can go ski at some point again. And the best food I had in foreign country, probably Korean barbecue. First of all, I got introduced to it in Seoul, in South Korea in 2010, and then I didn't have it for many years, and then we had tournaments in New York. Korean barbecue is something different. I just like the social part about it. So yeah. How do you feel about the current state of CS2 in comparison to the last version of CSGO? Honestly, I'm always trying to stay positive, but CSGO, holy shit, it was a great game. In the end, I just felt the game was so good. It got a bit boring in some sense with tactical, but I always felt like Counter-Strike from day one I have played it. That's 2 decades now. The meta is constantly developing, new tricks are coming, new smokes, new flashes, new way of playing, new way of thinking, constantly moving. With CS2, when it came out, the tactical approach, I fell in love with it with Hades. It's so interesting, you can do so many things, skybox are open. But the game itself feels still a little bit worse than CSGO when it comes to mechanics. But I was there when we moved from 1.6 to CSGO. Let me just say, CSGO was basically unplayable. CS2 is playable, but one of the main issues I have is performance in the game. You might have a 1 or 2 year old PC and it's not running good in CS2. Please fix that, Valve, if you're watching my video. If CS walkers on the stage would have a songs like boxing, for example, which song would you choose? I think that comes down to different scenarios. Right now, Walking on a Dream is a pretty good song I like to listen before games. It creates a good mood and a vibe, and I think it just creates this like feeling of like you're dreaming where you're going to tournaments and going on the stage, you know, you're walking on a dream. Like a flight just comes by, it's like walking on a dream. Yeah, so basically that song is what I would choose right now. If you ask me in 2 months, it might be a different song, but that's part of boxing, no? What are the primary differences in what Neo brings to the table as opposed to Robin? Now, that's a good and deep question. I think what Philip has done differently, or what his attributes are, is the tactical approach he has. I think he sees some stuff in the game. I think multiple scenarios in the beginning, at least, he took a lot of tactical pauses and came with a force buy that would change the momentum of the round and game. I think it is still hard to coach our team. We have not strong personalities, but strong views of how we want to play. I think the biggest difference when I look from Robin's POV is that Robin is very social, funny guy, creates a lot of ladder. And I think Philip is growing more and more into that role as well. So I think for now, I'd say the tactical approach that Philip comes with is more detailed than what Robin came with. And it's just always depending on the team, right? And I also think with CS2, having a coach that comes with extra set of things is very important. Maybe not like as much in CSGO in our previous lineup. Are drillers making the major? Oh yes, drillers are making the major. We need those owner pixel stickers on our weapon. I hope they will just make a face of him so we can just make a lot of funny crafts. So I think drillers have a chance to make the major. I haven't watched their games so much, or the groups or the teams they have to play, but I think there's a good chance they're making the major, and wouldn't it be great for owner pixel and his community? What other sports do you enjoy the most watching / playing? So I grew up with football. I like soccer, depending on where you are in the world, right? That's the thing I watch the most. I had periods of time where I watched a little bit basketball. Try also watch the Super Bowl. Unfortunate, I always fall asleep during the halftime when the show is on. Definitely soccer is the one I watch the most, and also try to have some Saturdays just enjoying watching Premier League. Trying to not think about the game, but in the end I sometimes think about the game anyway. Soccer is what I've also watched live. I went to Barcelona to watch some of the games a few years back when there's more room to watch those and do those kind of things. So yeah, for sure soccer. What would you love to do after your pro career? That is a question I have many times. First of all, the second I take a break or step down, I will do a 3 months vacation, not thinking about anything. Just trying to recover and figure out what I want to do next in life. I have many ideas of what could be interesting. First of all, I think I'll be a great agent for player representation. I could also become a coach, which would be very exciting, but I'm very competitive, so I have to make sure that my mind is ready for that. And a third option is actually thinking about, at some point, it could be cool to have my own organization. I think I know a lot about the industry, the game, people. I know what's important for players. I know what's important from the organization side. And I have also a business degree in administrating and accounting. So I know a little bit about finance. So I think that's 3 things that could be very interesting for me. Who is someone you looked up to early in CSGO? I wouldn't say I looked up to anyone specific early in CSGO. I would say if there was early one in CSGO, it must have been like Forest or Neo. But also I think that comes with the situation I had in 1.6, where I always look up to those players. Looked up to some Danish players like Sunde, Sonic as well in Denmark. I think those were great players in 1.6. So in CSGO, I don't feel like I looked up to anyone, especially in 2015 when we were beating a lot of teams in TSM. I never felt like I looked up to one. I just always felt like I wanted wanted to be better than everyone else. But earlier in my career in 1.6, I obviously looked a lot of demos of Neo, Forest and what they did, and they were inhuman in 1.6, brothers. Which crowd is your favorite one? There is always one crowd that makes me sentimental and emotional, and that is the Polish crowd in Katowice. I have been playing so many years there, so many arena games, so many heartbreaks, and also 2022 best experience of my life. So it's kind of interesting because it felt like the first time I had a home crowd, even playing international teams since 2016. The love I get from the Polish people is insane. I even know my social media getting spammed that I need a Polish passport and stuff like that. So it just makes me feel home. When I have to give shout out to other, I think Sydney is incredible. I think Brazil brings so much passion. But for me, my favorite one is Polish crowd, as I have so much feelings attached to them. And every time I step on that arena, I feel blessed, basically. What's your thoughts on the new Valve game Deadlock? I couldn't care less. Honestly, it looks like cartoon with running around like it's shooting game, but you have spells you can throw at people. It looks like World of Warcraft 3 mod for 1.6. Man, nah, brother, that's not me. I don't like the game at all. I know it's some people like it, but that ain't me, chief. That's not me. I am full of Counter-Strike blood, and that will never change. How does your regular prac day look like outside the tournament? Schedule, amount of hours, what's happening during theory and day recap, focus area, and so on. Good question. So I don't want to say too much in details because obviously every team has a different ways. I think for me as a leader, there's periods of time where my focus is on my individual level, and this is besides practice. Sometimes I feel like a map is not good enough, I don't do good enough calls, then I watch a lot of demos on this map, trying to come up with new stuff, theory crafting a lot, and then I always try to come down to small details, and then next day I'm gonna show to my teammates what we need to do more, what we need to improve on, and then you go into a practice and you try to apply the theory that I just went through or the adjustment that some of the guys have to the way we play. That's how a daily look like for me as a captain. Basically always a constant workflow. I'm never happy about my individual level. I'm never happy with how I'm calling. There's always work to do. The main thing is like, what do I prioritize in a week or a month span? So this last month has been a lot about my individual level, putting extra hours there, watching less demos because I feel a little better calling wise. And then in a week, I will probably go back to, okay, I need to focus more on following the meta and improving on that. But generally, a practice day looks like 11 to 6 or 7 for the team, 5 to 6 days a week. You have days off after tournament, but mostly you are looking at a 7-hour day for a team. And then there's obviously the individual practice that people schedule themselves. What's the biggest motivator to get back on your feet after a disappointing tournament? So there is different zones you go through, as me at least. Right after loss, I am so mad, I am so frustrated. I have these constant flashbacks of what I should have done right, what went wrong. Maybe it's not my fault, maybe it's my fault completely. There's these emotions that's uncontrollable, and I have learned to accept them, that I need them to run through my head and let them flow. But then there is this moment of, okay, it's enough now. I rewatch the game, get the same feelings maybe I get some of the feelings get away, like, it's not that bad as I thought. Okay, this is a key round. You start analyzing the rounds, and then you go into details. And this is what I love the most about Kobe Bryant, is in the end you can always learn something from a game. So the example, he would say he would miss a 3-pointer. Okay, why did he miss a 3-pointer? Okay, it's been a long season. It has been, his legs was not all right. Okay, he needs to work on his legs more for the next game or next season. The same goes for me. Sometimes seeing how I'm pre-aiming in the game, not clearing angles good enough, I'll go straight into, for example, refrag to play a little bit more of that, pre-aim some of the maps to have better that. Sometimes it's about calling. Why didn't I understand this key situation? I'll try to watch some other games, what I did there, and have that as a focus for the next game. I think it's a lot about the details. It is sometimes hard, but yeah, there's this grief, angry, into analyzing, into improving, and then you try to improve it for next day. That's how my brain works. And sometimes it is very hard the first day, but I also have like this, the day I lose, I can be as mad, but next day I wake up, it is working on those details I just talked about. How do you feel about Twist becoming an IGL? Does it make you happy to see a former teammate become an IGL? And saying you inspired him and taught him a lot during his time in FaZe. Obviously, I'm happy that Twist is choosing to become an IGL. I'm also happy I've been one of the guys to inspire him to do so. I always think I think everyone can become an IGL who's a smart player, but becoming an IGL is not equal to becoming a leader. I went through this for the first 2-3 years in my career. I might be reading the game, I might be good at calling, but leading a team over time is one of the roughest time, and sometimes we talk still about leading. I think calling, you need to find your own way, but leading a team is way different than just calling the shots. You have to be strong mentally, you have to make sure you don't overcomplicate stuff when you talk to your teammates. But I'm super proud, and I'm happy to see I maybe have inspired him to do so, and that makes me proud, of course. But I always wish he would still, still take a year or two to hit his peak. I think I told him I think he should wait a year or two. I think he's still in his peak career, peak form as a player. But sometimes opportunity arises, and he took it. And I think he's done a great job so far, and hope he can keep it up and not let himself beat him too much self up when he's losing some games as a leader. But that's a part of the learning curve. What is the most important lesson you have learned from CS career as a whole? I think the most important thing has been about self-discipline, and I think the most thing is self-reflective. I think I would never learn it as much in CS that I would learn in other places in life. Because in the end, when I'm in my room and we lost a game or we won a game, the only one that can improve yourself is self-reflective, because you're not always gonna listen to what people say, because if you listen to what people say, you are not going anywhere. But being self-reflective is a key element of who I am today, and I think that's what I've learned the most, that being self-reflective, self-criticize, but doing a good tone, you become a better player. Because even if you win and you can self-reflect, I couldn't have done better, you are on the right path in everything you do. So I think that's something I'm gonna bring from my CS career into my whole life. Always trying to make sure I listen to myself, being self-reflective about everything I do. So that's the thing I learned the most, and I think that's something people can never take away from me. Excluding any team that you played on, what team in CS2/CSGO history was the most fun for you to watch? I think the most fun team to watch was Fnatic, and was 2016-15. We played against them with Crims, Olof, JV, Flusher, and I think the Pronax as well. That team was so fun to play. They were so annoying, and they're also BMing. They didn't really care. So I really liked the way they behaved. They were always the villains, and it was fun to watch them play. And you never knew if somebody just popped off and won the whole round by themselves. Another team shout out is also Virtus Pro, or often known as Virtus Plow. So once they got rolling, they would just rush you down. So those teams are one of the fun ones to watch, I think. What's your favorite breakfast item? I think my favorite breakfast item is just eggs. Eggs Benedict, omelette, fried eggs, boiled eggs, scrambled eggs. There's so many options. So I think that's my favorite breakfast item. And that's good. They're good everywhere in the world, but sometimes you can get some scrambled eggs that ain't so good, brother. They are consistent. How long were you playing CS before you went pro? I think I played since 2001. I got my own PC. So coming into 2005, I started competing in local tournaments, and then you can kind of say I went pro in 2006-07, where I started earning some money from tournaments. So yeah, I played 5 years. Small local LANs back in the days, a lot of public servers. Tried out for many clans like you did back in the days. So yeah, 5 years before I kind of went like all in, I would say, in competing in tournaments, in the best tournaments in Denmark. Who do you think is the best player of all time? Ooh, best player of all time. I have to think about CSGO. I think I would say Symbol. I think the way Cyber is playing now, I think in a few years, if we keep this up, we might overcome Symbol. Symbol's coming back to try to keep his GOAT status, obviously, but I think what I've seen from Symbol and the way he has performed has been unhuman, and we have a next unhuman in Saivu, who's basically doing the same, right? So yeah, for now, Symbol, I would say. Which of your stickers is your favorite? Do you have a favorite major sticker? I think my favorite major sticker is probably the small Batman I did. It had a significant meaning when it came to what I did with the Batman mask and stuff like that. And it was kind of different that I've done in the past. To be honest, I had so many stickers now, I'm running out of ideas, guys. So this was like a great idea with like the bat around the name. So I think that's pretty cool. Most underrated player in top 15 right now. Who is a big upcoming talent you like? Honestly, I think this question is really hard. I don't look so much on individually players. I don't know, underrated is always hard to say. I really think Crimbo from Big is playing super good. I really think if he joined another team than Big, he could really shine and maybe even win trophies. So I don't know if he's underrated or whatever, but I think that's a great player. I also think Nerds from Heroic has been really great, even though the results haven't been the best maybe for Heroic lately because of the issues. But those players are really good, I think. Big upcoming talent, I think you have to look into the academy teams. I am not following that so much. We know Dunk came out really fast, and I think there's probably gonna be a next player from either like the Spirit Academy, Na'Vi Academy, or Mouse's Academy, so probably one of those players out there is doing great. When did you feel that Danish CS had passed Swedish CS, and who of all of Swedish players through the years have you looked up to the most? I feel like already when we had TSM, North, and so on, these teams in 2015-16, we kind of like started competing with the Swedish CS. I think the issue that Swedish CS had, but they had a long generation of Olof Meister, Get Right, Forrest, all these legendary players. But I think right before COVID, they started falling maybe a little off, and we never saw these Swedish talents come in and kind of take over the world. I know we saw Res coming out, but I still feel like the biggest issue Swedish CS had compared to Danish CS was that we had a lot of Danish IGLs. Many IGLs are playing international teams now. We had these IGLs coming from Tier 2. They would have a good IGL, a leader in the team, had a structure. So when they joined that other Danish team, they learned a lot from different IGLs. And I think that's the main issue Swedish CS had for the past many years. There haven't been many great IGLs after the ones that stepped down. Nobody was there to kind of take over. So I think we have surpassed Swedish CS right now when it comes to player base, but right now we don't have many Danish teams either, so we have to look somewhere else for a new player base. I hope you guys enjoyed this part 1 of my MA, and there's gonna be a part 2. Make sure to subscribe, like, and making sure that once the second part comes out, you have a notification on your phone. Yeah, subscribe, brother.